Hey guys, uh, it is time for day 3, assess and progress. I hope you had a really great first day of Yantif, that you used your treats tracker, and if you're only seeing this tomorrow because you have a second day, keep going, good for you. I hope it went well for all 48 hours. So, now what? Now, it went however it went, right? However many treats you indulged in, and you want to think back and you want to look at your habits. What are the triggers that set you up for success, and the triggers that set you up that you are making automatic choices that weren't serving you? For example, over the holiday, you always have dessert at the end of the meal, right? So that's a trigger. Oh, I finished eating, now dessert's coming out. And the second you finish eating, your body starts to anticipate dessert and look forward to it. And that's where cravings come from. Cravings are the anticipation of a treat that you've had in the past that's been promised, and it's the anticipation that causes the craving. And that's why smells are huge in causing cravings, and seeing things, eye triggers, things that you see around. So for example, if the dessert's out on the table, then every single time you see it, it's going to trigger a craving. And a certain amount of time you're going to be able to stop the craving. But the more that it's triggered, the craving's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger until you either stop the habit loop by doing a different behavior instead and getting a different reward, or you give in, have whatever treat was triggering you, and get that immediate reward, which is even stronger because you withheld, right? And then it creates this negative cycle. So how can you stop? You have dessert. The dessert is coming to the table. It's going to come at every single meal because Shabbos is every other day. Holidays are every other day. So what are you going to do? Here's what's really, really interesting. You can take that same cue, that same trigger, meals ending, it's time for a treat, and put in a new action. Every single time there's dessert, I get up, I make a cup of tea. That's mine. That really, really helps me. Every single time there's dessert, I get up, I make a cup of tea. And the one meal I didn't, because it was so hot in the sukkah, that was the meal that I then gave in to the craving for the little sour cherry candies we had at the table that we were giving out to the kids for Divrei Torah. I counted 5, I tracked 5. The 5 weren't quite satisfying, another 5, 2 gummy bears, and I stopped. But that all comes from, but I could totally lived with that. And after I had it, I was annoyed at myself because they weren't as good as I remembered them being from America, etc. But that was the only meal that I had the cue, the trigger, meal's ending, craving is starting, right? Something good is supposed to come at the end of this meal. In the sukkah, it's a holiday. And instead of having a cup of tea and then having the reward be that sense of accomplishment, that sense of control, that sense of, oh, I got this, it's amazing, we did it, etc. So you want to look for things that you gave into over the holiday that you didn't think about, that you wouldn't have wanted if they hadn't been presented to you. And you want to look and see what's the system of habit here. There's always a cue, a trigger. Then there is the craving, the thing that you want, the anticipation of the thing, the behavior, and then there's always the reward. So it could be you get up from your nap and you go straight to the kitchen, open the fridge, or you sit down to play a game with the family, and every time you play a game, potato chips come out, or whatever it is for you. You get into the sukkah, you're going to eat. Whatever it is, that's your habit loop. You want to look and you want to see, okay, there are things I can't change. I can't change, that's the way life works. But I can change the behavior I choose to associate with that series of events. So, you're going to sit down to a game, you go fill up your water bottle, you bring it to the table, and you try to finish the water bottle by the time you finish that board game or card game or Monopoly game or whatever. You're going into the sukkah. You never go into the sukkah without your plate of vegetables. Whatever it's going to be. So for me, I have a habit that's starting from around 2 hours before Shabbat or Chag is over. I know I'm going to work out after Chag. And so already I have this cue. Ooh, it's starting to get evening time. 5 o'clock hits. 2 hours from now, I'm going to be working out. And I allow that same habit loop to start getting me excited. So I'm like, ooh, it's going to work out. Like my body starts anticipating even before Chag is over, I'm going to go get a workout. And I keep them short so that no matter what, like we're going to a party soon or whatever's happening, I know I'm going to get it in. Tonight was a run because I have tons of guests in my house. There's no way I was doing an online workout with a billion people in my living room. So again, I started talking to my husband. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go for a run right after Shabbos, right? Like right after Yantif, you're gonna put the kids to bed, get everybody on board. So I'm straight out the door after Havdalah. And what's great is you're taking that, it's just science. You're taking the way the body works and using it for good. So what's really cool is if you have not downloaded that eating opportunity tracker from the files, you really want to do that because it is a perfect example of using cues, triggers, and rewards. So the cue is, ooh, there's treats. Now the action is right after Yantif or every day this week when there's still going to be sukkah parties and eating out and lots of eating opportunities. And you're like, okay, I had this, I had this, I had this, I didn't have this, I didn't have this. You're going to track it. And then you have to really look for that reward. You have to post in the group. You have to reach out to me. You have to reach out to a friend in the group and say like, yes, look what I did. Get that sense of accomplishment. Because without the sense of reward, you're not going to be able to create a habit. And this, I'm so happy you used it over Chag. Yay, Esther. The coolest thing is about habits and why we want habits is habits happen without thinking. So I don't have to make myself work out Saturday night anymore. I don't have to make myself work out after Chag. I created a habit loop where my body is anticipating working out an hour and a half before Chag even ends. Automatic, I'm going to put my shoes on and I'm going to go. So you want to look for these habits in your life. You want to assess what happened without judgment because, hey, we all treated, no big deal. You want to look and say, okay, what were the habits? What were the trigger loops that happened? Now I want to progress. I want to look at those habits. I want to look at those triggers because they're going to happen all day, every day this week. Every other day is Shabbos. Every other day is a Chag meal. We're about to go to a pizza and we're having homemade pizza at home, going out to an Ben and Jerry's ice cream shiur party thing. And I know there's going to be lots and lots of eating opportunities. Which ones am I going to want before everything's in front of me? I'm smelling the pizza, come outside so that the craving isn't so strong by the time I get the pizza. Like I'm going to way overdo it. And you got to be so smart with these things because it's really our habits that control our life. One thing to keep in mind, don't get mad at yourself if you find yourself falling into an old habit loop. Those things are permanently encoded in your brain. But guess what? Especially when you use the original triggers, dessert's coming, and you add in a different action, making a cup of tea, and really allow yourself to feel a sense of pride and reward in that, then you build in a new habit loop on top of it. And the more that you do it and the more that you lean into it, you're going to be able to override that. But if you find yourself starting to follow the old habit loop, just be aware, go in, change it up, and you're going to find that over time it's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then be kind to yourself if the old one appears, knowing it's always going to be there in the back of your brain, but we choose which ones we employ and which ones we try to break. Have an amazing, amazing day. Let us know if you exercised, what you were proud of, what you assessed, what you progressed, if you downloaded the tracker, if you didn't yet. I can't wait to hear how your holiday went. See you tomorrow.